Alright, let's do a full-on movie review for Sinners. It came out this past weekend, and this movie was incredible. Let's start off. I'm gonna break this up into like 3 parts maybe. Part 1, the cast and crew. You know what? I don't know who the casting director was. Francine Maisler. Goated. Because every single person that was in this movie absolutely killed it. Obviously, Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan, you know? And we got 2 of them. Haley Steinfeld killed it. What's the name of this guy that played Sammy? Where he at? I think his name is Miles. The fact that that's his acting debut is absolutely insane. Omar Miller, Cornbread, amazing. I don't want to butcher her name. Wunmi Musako. That was also B-15 in Deadpool, Wolverine, and Loki. She was incredible, especially towards the end when she really popped off. Who else was absolutely amazing? Sal Williams, amazing. Who was the one that played Pearline? Jamie Lawson. Now, Ryan Coogler obviously absolutely killed it creating this film. Direction is on point. Cinematography, visual storytelling of constantly cutting back and up into the sky, showing the sun slowly come down as the day went on, showing the fact that it was getting closer and closer to when shit was gonna pop off. Insane. The symbolism of the vultures on top of the shack where Remick ended up going to visit the Klansmen, or seeing the Klansmen begging them to let him inside and showing that they were gonna die there. And there was 3 vultures. 3 of them were vampires when they went to the shack, to the juke. The aspect ratio changes, showing warmth, being comforting within the characters' own worlds, and intimacy with the aspect ratio, and then crushing that and removing you from that scene but not out of the movie into wide aspect ratio to show what was going on from the other side. Essentially cultural appropriation in a sense, where Remick and the other vampires were trying to absorb their culture. I was about to get up and try to do the Irish jig thing, but then I'll either bust my ass or just not be able to do it. I'm gonna end up cutting it out anyway. So what else was really stand out about the direction? What is it called? The sound direction of the film was incredible. When the old dude, he was speaking with Stack and Sammy in the car on the way to the juke, and he was tapping and singing, and then he was describing what happened with another person that was on the train trying to leave, and then they put him on the train track and chopped his balls off, and they played it in the background. Incredible. The barn, the juke scene, when Sammy started singing, which, by the way, that actor has a beautiful voice. Miles has a beautiful voice. Makes sense why he's with her on her tour, whatever. He has an amazing voice. And the fact that they blended it so well with that type of music, that blues. From the very beginning, they explained that there's people that have the power to create or connect the past and future through music, through playing music. And the fact that they didn't really mention it at all, apart from the beginning, up until that very moment. They explained it, they showed it, and it was done beautifully. As soon as Sammy is singing, and he says, "The truth hurts, so I lied to you." And then it transitions, and then the beat drops, and then we get like boom bap. We got West Coast, like Dr. Dre-esque vibes. Then we got really, 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 really present with the girls twerking in the corner, all showing a symbol of the culture. Like, I grew up listening to like the more modern, I guess, rap. Not really modern, but like the Cash Money, all that. But then I've grown to love like the blues and stuff like that. That was the starting point of the whole transition. So seeing it go from one to another and to another so smoothly, and then visually changing every time, even blending a little bit of the Asian culture with Bo and his wife, I damn near cried, like, from overwhelming emotion, and you could feel it in your soul. That's one of the most visually striking and, like, overwhelming in a good way, positively overwhelming scenes I've ever seen in a live action movie. That's not like Endgame, because obviously Endgame is Endgame, you know what I mean? Or like a Dune 2, Dune Part 2, which is probably where, like, in terms of overwhelming emotion, I would put that like with this in terms of overall greatness on like a large scale movie. Like in the grand scheme of movies, I would put this up there with that personally. I said I was gonna do parts, and I went from cast and crew, and now I'm talking about everything randomly. Fuck it, we're here now. We're here now. What else? Michael B. Jordan playing Smoke and Stack. At first, I was agreeing with people that would be like, oh, the other one was for sure meant to be Jonathan Majors. But watching it, this was always meant to be Michael B. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan. Because, yeah, it would have been cool to have him there playing his brother or cousin. But there's something so, like, kind of disheartening about having Michael B. Jordan play one tragic character and then playing two tragic characters and then having one of them being stripped away. I feel like in a way that wouldn't have been able to be conveyed the same if it was another actor. Like, it needed to be himself, if that makes sense. The small little tics that they had, like Smoke kind of moved his mouth a little bit while he was like just staring. He was more stoic, and then Stack was always the one that was just talking shit. He had a little twitch in his eye too. He would always roll Smoke's cigarettes, so like they were always like purely connected in a way that like twins are, really close family is. And I feel like Jonathan Majors would have been able to do a good job because of the chemistry he has with Michael, but having Michael do both himself is just visually striking also, considering it's literally the exact same person. I also like how they were wearing red and blue, symbolizing like America, because they were up in Chicago, they came back down, they did fight overseas as well. Like, it kind of shows their growth there as well. And what else, man? Like, there's just so much to unpack in this film. Remick playing an antagonist, because he's not really a villain. It makes me think of, like Ryan Coogler said in his interview with Straw Hat Goofy, he got a lot of inspiration from Death from Puss in Boots, who really isn't a villain, he's more of an antagonist. And Remick is very similar to that. He doesn't, like, his Irish heritage, in a sense, is connected to black culture, because they were both prosecuted for being a minority, and both have undergone similar issues. But Remick is doing it in a way, or got converted into being a vampire, and was trying to bring other people to his side that didn't want to be on his side, through like cultural appropriation, going up to the black people and being like, hey, we can sing and dance too, but doesn't have that same soul. It has his own soul from his Irish heritage that he eventually shows, but it kind of goes to show how different. It goes to show how masterful Coogler was and able to bring different cultures into this movie while being able to differentiate them enough that it keeps them separate. Like, you can look and be like, this is from here, this is from there, but it blends well enough with the movie that it never takes you out of it, at least in my opinion. And having the connection between the cultures be the music, with Sammy playing and then Remick being like, I need him to connect myself to my past, back to my ancestors, the same way that in that little barn, that little shack, Sammy was doing the same thing with the past, present, and future of music for that time, obviously for the 30s. And it was just incredible. The fact that also Hailee Steinfeld absolutely killed it in that role. It kind of sucks that they showed that she was a vampire in the trailers, but the whole time I was like, is she a vampire the whole time? Or like, when is she gonna turn? Like, it had me on the edge of my seat. And when it picked up, it did not slow down. Those last like 30 minutes really paid off well, in terms of just like anxiety of like, what the fuck is gonna happen? And when Bo's wife yelled, come in, I was like, it was very like kind of cliche, but it works out because the Asian community at that time was also very like, they both had their separate like culture. They weren't super intertwined with the black community. They weren't intertwined with the white community. They were still a minority. But we see that in Bo and his wife, both were separate. Bo had a deeper connection with Smoke and Stack than the wife did. But they still did interact and they were still cordial. But at the end of the day, she was the one that initiated, we gotta get out of here. And then obviously Bo, being the husband, went to go get the car and stuff. But she was the one that initiated, we gotta get out of here. Let me out. They're gonna get my daughter, which all makes sense. But it doesn't have that same solidarity that everyone else in that moment did. Especially for that time with Jim Crow laws and all that, there was a deeper foundation of solidarity, especially in the music, in music in general. And that's another thing too with the music, which is honestly probably the standout of this entire film, which is crazy because there's just so many good things. The fact that at that time, gospel was seen as God's music, and anything outside of that, like, which would be an escape for slaves and things like that, was seen as devil worshiping music. And to an extent, it was, because we got Remick, who's a physical representation of dealing with the devil, while also being a physical representation of cultural appropriation at that time, while also, apart from physically being it, thematically is that as well, trying to steal Sammy away from the black culture for his own gain. And having the gospel, his father as a pastor, tell him that it's devil music. Obviously he did not listen to that, and we saw that in the post-credits, because of how powerful music is itself. And it's the power of music that connects, that can be the connecting factor between all the cultures, different types of cultures, which is what we saw in the barn as well, when we got the little bit of Asian influence, the tribal African dancers, the electric guitarists, all of that. And then we got the Irish jig scene, which honestly was terrifying. It was like uncomfortably good, if that makes any sense. But that goes to show how powerful music is, not just for a certain community, but it is for every single community, every single minority, culture, whatever label you want to put on it. Music is vital in every regard in terms of being able to unify each other. And we're even seeing that now, but should we get into that? Nah, this is a movie review. We're not getting too in depth. What else, man? The acting is incredible. Jamie Lawson, Perlene, when she was dancing up there, bro. And then she's freaky too. Like, Coogler is a freaky man, bro. I want to taste you. He found the button. Like, I don't know, but this was just cinema. I don't know what else to say, man. If y'all have not watched it, and you watch this, I guess you know what's gonna happen, more or less, even though I didn't even really talk about the story. The story was great. But I've seen some people say that we need prequels and sequels. The only thing I would take is a prequel for the twins. I don't want anything else.